Well, what I think is really fascinating is I think that through learning more about autism and autistic children and just learning in general is that every single child is going to be different in their approach to learning. It's been really fascinating to me because I can now point out things about children without really labeling them one way or the other, but being able to see that they could be spectrum because they have a specific talent or a lack of eye contact, or even ones that may not have actually even been diagnosed as being autistic or not, or even having a behavioral issue, a kid in a clinic that has a behavioral issue, and coming to realize that perhaps it's just a learning issue that's never been looked at, and that's their cover-up for their learning difficulties as well. So I think that it's been a really eye-opening experience working and knowing and relating to Olivia and her experiences, because it's definitely opened my eyes to being how ignorant I am to, or I used to be, to children having meltdowns and not being able to cope. So it's actually really been an awesome experience because it's actually allowed me to be a lot more compassionate to the individual and looking at individuals in a different way than expecting that everybody's going to learn the same way or be the same way. So it's been very cool. It's really helped out in a lot of my professional endeavors as well as my personal ones.
Celene, what grades do you teach? Or are you a professor? Or?
Well, I'm a percussionist and drummer, and so I go in to do clinics at schools, do workshops in schools, and that usually starts grade 5 up to grade 12. So there's a lot of different age groups involved.
Interesting. I'm finding that as an educator, because I teach middle school, what I'm discovering is that there is a surge in diagnosing children. And I know that many people, especially people like in the public eye, have kind of said, oh, well, all of a sudden we have all these kids with autism. I don't think it's necessarily all of a sudden we have all these kids with autism or on the autism spectrum. Is as much as it is we are discovering that there are more people out there with the right diagnosis of autism. And I'm finding that I'm beginning to have to use different teaching styles because many children with autism don't have the neurotypical way of learning. So I have begun to refine my teaching style, and I actually think it's gotten a lot better because, believe it or not, a lot of the way that I've had to learn to teach within the past couple of years has helped even the children in my classes who don't have autism. I think as our kids get older and we have a better way of diagnosing children with autism, it's going to be an acceptable diagnosis in public school.
Actually, I would like to touch on that a little bit because I have encountered that big time with Alex. Alex was in what is called a life skills class. He was listed as mentally retarded. I had been educating Alex at home all this time and trying to get the teachers to listen to me, and it really was the most frustrating, ridiculous thing ever because they would say, well, no, he can't do that, and I would bring out these huge binders and say, well, yes, he can because he can do it at home for me. He's proving that he can do it. Finally, when I really started pushing, I wanted to remove Alex from the public school system altogether. I wanted to put him into the NHS School of Autism. I met a lot of resistance, and they even brought in, the public school system brought in their autistic specialist who tried to disprove that my son even has autism. He did his own checklist and skated over quite a bit, and it's illegal, by the way, but it didn't stop them. It took me having to take them all the way to court to win an education for my son. Within 1 week of him being in an autistic support class back within our school district where I actually pay taxes, within 1 week, they decided he was not only going to come out for his English class, they were also going to bring him out for computer, science, history, and his art class. That's a significant part of his day that was mainstreamed. As soon as he started his history class, they gave him a packet for the entire semester, and Alex did 3/4 of it in one night. And so we had to have a conversation with him where he needs to work along with the class, not like weeks and weeks and weeks ahead of them. But now he's doing so well that next year he is going to not even need the autistic support class. He will be completely mainstreamed at the high school. And nobody wanted to actually listen to that because being a parent, for some reason, that disqualifies you. And you really, really have to fight. And I can't even imagine how many children are falling through the cracks.
I've actually decided to homeschool my kid. They do have some funding for kids here within the public system, but what they do here is that they pool it all together. So it doesn't directly go to your child. It just gets all pulled together, and so it's really not very much. And if there's anyone in the school who has a diagnosis that's any more severe than my daughter, which at this point is, a definite, she would not see any of that help. But I know that although my kid can function quite well in it's a drama class that I have her in, or a music class, or ballet, or gymnastics, she does just fine. I know that she's not okay, I'd say around, the 45, 50-minute mark, and she just sort of plows through and gets through. But by the end of the class, she's definitely spent. And I know that for her, she would need help during the day, an aide or somebody to sort of help her cope. And I know that she wouldn't get that help. Same kind of thing that happened with you, LeeAnn, that my daughter would not really get an education. It would be sort of a life skills class. I've also found, too, right now we're getting funding, up to the age of 6. Kids on the spectrum do get extra funding, but I'm finding the same thing as well, where the professionals are coming in, they're telling me that my kid can't do this or can't do that, and yet I can get her to do it, and she does just fine. Not only does just fine, but probably, sometimes functions higher than her peers do with certain academic things. I just want my kid to have an education, and I really am afraid that she would fall through the cracks if I were to put her in public school. She just would not get the support and help that she needs. I've decided to do the homeschooling route because it just doesn't look, the other alternative does not look good for us at all. But it's working well. She's got lots of friends. She's got lots of play dates. She's flourishing. She's doing great.
Homeschooling probably would be your best bet with the way that the school system is up there. But I definitely want to point out, no matter how difficult that anyone makes it for you, to be able to get what your child needs, no matter if they tell you, well, she can't, when you know damn well she can. I know firsthand exactly what that is like. Just don't give up, and make sure that you surround yourself with a very strong, healthy support system, because that's what you need to fall back on. Different people, the school system, the doctors, whomever, they can make it a living hell for you. And I just really hope that you remain as strong as you obviously are, and just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, because you can get somewhere by doing that.
Well, thanks.